Welcome back to another episode of Iron Sounds Engineering. Now in this one, we're going to be playing around with the freshly running A70 Supra. As you saw in the previous videos, we've got the wheels made and all back on the car, hopefully, depending on what kind of series I have actually released the videos in. But you can see that the wheels are all freshly built, they look great. So yeah, the problem that we've got though is on the front wheels. I think they stick out a little bit too far, so we made some wishbones, some adjustable wishbones to see if we can get more camber. So in this episode we're going to fit them and we're going to see what happens. So these are my freshly made wishbone arms. Look at that. They're all made out of 316 stainless steel with poly bushes, and the ball joints are still fresh in the boxes over there. But we're going to be fitting them. I made a set like that similar to my, well, I made a set like that for the A70 Supra, and they work a treat. There's nothing wrong with them, they function absolutely fine. I've now driven like quite a way in them for the past couple of years now, and yeah, they've been fine. So I'm going to put these on the A70 now. So these are the adjustable wishbones that I made. These were all made out of scrap 316 stainless that we had kicking about at work in the scrap bins. So if I just put this one here, that's what they look like without any ball joint. Alright, so this is a piece of 10mm flat 316 that I've milled out for the size of the top of the ball joint. Same with the slots for the M10 holes, and then I reinforced it all around there with a piece of, I think it was like 5mm flat, so it's all enclosed. These bits here were a piece of 316 pipe that I've bored out to suit, and then I made the poly bushes myself as well from a bar of polyurethane that I bought. The centre crush washers are actually the crush washers that came in the original bushes. I burnt all the original bushes out, so I got them out. And the bar bits here are 316 pipe that we'd use in the oil and gas industry. So that's basically what it looks like in its raw form. And then this is what it looks like with the ball joint in place. Now the ball joint is a Toyota ball joint. I cannot for the life of me remember what model this is. But when I done it on the Z20, I took measurements of all the taper, the size, the angle, everything like that, and found one which suited the same. And this one does suit the same. It fits in the Z20 absolutely perfectly, and we know that the A70 Supras and the Z20s all share suspension components because they just sister cars. So the idea of this will be, these will be shortened down obviously, but for the purpose of this, we're just leaving them like this. But there'll be nylock nuts when they're done. And then what I done on the Z20 just in case was, because I got the ultimate camber out of that I could, I made a lock spacer to go in here so that if anything did happen, this did break loose, because it is only the 2 bolts, not 4, it can't go anywhere. They'll be locked into place. But that's essentially how it's going to be sat in the car. So yeah, now what we've got to do is we've got to take the front wheel off, take the top wishbone off, and put the new one in and see how it sits. So the camber arm, one of the camber arms is now on, and I'm might have got my calculations a bit wrong because it's giving me a lot more camber than I expected. But that wheel was proper bulging out at the start of this. That was like 2 inches out of this arch. And now, with that arm in, clocked all the way, I mean, you can see how angled in the wheel actually is. Well, at least we know they work. So, if we get the other side on, then we can start finicking about just to see if we can get it perfect. Now, I've run into a bit of a problem on the top wishbones. While they all fit and everything like that, when I went to do the other side, I noticed that if I pulled the hub up, the arm made contact with the locking ring on the coilover. So obviously you go to set it down as low as you want, and you're going to catch on the coilover, which will probably just take a chunk out of the locking ring because that's only aluminium. Aluminium versus stainless steel, aluminium's going to lose all day long. So what I've got to do is I put the arms in, I make sure that they were on the right side because on these they are ever so slightly angled. So when I fabricated these up, I made sure that they were the same angles and stuff as the standard ones, and they are. I didn't have this problem on the Z20, but I think that's because the Z20's got airbags on it, not coilovers, so there are no lock and rings. They do get close to the strut, but they don't make contact, and I think that's just because the factory struts are obviously narrower than the coilovers and the lock and rings. So what I've got to do is this: I put them back on and I marked out where I've got to do it, but I've got to notch this area here. So both of these, the size of the coilover with the ring on it is 68mm outside diameter. So what I need to do is notch it there so that it clears when it lowers down. Now don't worry, I do things properly. So what this will be done is this will be notched out properly, and then all of this in here will be braced up. So it'll still be nice and strong, it'll still be the same thickness as this, it's just it will be notched to clear the coilover. So I've now got to take it back to work and do that. Now you join me back at work. It's Bank Holiday Monday, or Bank Holiday Sunday. I thought, well, I weren't doing nothing, went to a car show this morning, so I thought I'd do the wishbones. So I come back to work when there's no one here, that's why it's so quiet. And I thought I'd check out why these arms were catching on the locking rings. And I think I discovered the reason why. Because the idea behind it was I was going to notch them and it'd be fine. But notching them is a bit bodgy. So I just kind of thought I might have to rejig them. And this is what I found out. So, as you might be able to see here, because the light's in the way, I took the standard arm, which in this case was the right hand side arm, put it in line like that, and just basically drew around it so that I knew the profile of this arm and the angles of it. As I said before, I made a fixture for these, but obviously the fixture isn't the best, which is what I'm now discovering. Because when you put that on there, as you can see here, that line is miles out, and so is this one. The end pieces are roughly in the middle of where they need to be, but these bits here, completely different angle to what they're meant to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to chop them here, here, here and here, and then rejig them. These go in a jig what's actually marked up so they know the difference, the distance in between the middle of the subframe bit. And then what we'll have to do is cut these to the right profile so that they actually run down the correct angle and they will miss the lock and ring. Let's get started on that. So the poly bushes are now out of the first wishbone, the right hand side wishbone, so now let's do some big boy grinding. So we got the right arm all chopped down, ready to rejig it. So this is what we're left with basically. Ball joint end, the two arms, and then the two polybush holders, the two bush end bits. Now what we've got to do is we'll take them back into the welding bay, line them up on the fixture and the marking on the table, and work out what kind of angle I need to cut the arms in order for them to get to the right angle that they're meant to be. So this is basically what we've found out. This is the fixture that I made up to make sure that the bushes are in the right distance apart from each other. As you can see here, there's little lines marked on this and this, and on the end of this one, it's butted up against this. Now, yes, it is a rubbery old bit of hex pipe that I've turned to the right OD to fit these things, but it's a solid block of steel. It's what we had in the yard. It's scrap that I made it out of. Now, this is as much as the arms need to be moved in order to be in line with the original. So we need to make it so it's notched across there, so it'll fit in there, and the same with that side. If you then take this one and you flatten these two bits out, that'll fit on there, basically dead on in line with where the factory standard one was. So that is what we've got to do to both of the wishbones to make sure they clear the locking rings. We notched one of the arms, so it now fits there, and it completely clears black line, the distance. So we're now going to tack weld it. And that is how we do that. So these two are now in line with the lines. Can you see the lines? So these are the standard lines. Not really that standoutable if I'm honest with you, but they are the standard lines that are for the arms. So that is now going to clear the locking ring. So now what we need to do is tart these ends up so that they are flat, and then we can weld the ball joint housing in the right place. And that is it, all fully tacked up. So we're tacked there, we were tacked there, it's broken, but we're tacked here and here. It's all within the lines of what that one should be. We put that one on top of it, still follows the lines of where the arms go, and then where the ball joint will drop through to as well. Magic. The only thing I can see a little bit of problem with is maybe that bit there. If it does turn out to be a problem and it does catch, I can just cut and extend the arms just a little bit more. But let's fully weld that up and see what's happening. One of the arms is now completely welded, as you can see here. It still follows inside the lines of this one and this one, which is miles better than what the other one was. It's still in the fixture, it's still in line with where them marks are. So that one's completely done. We can put the ball joint back in now and fit it on the car to see if it misses the locking rings. But now what we've got to do is we've got to chop the other arm apart and do the same thing to that.
A few moments later.
Both arms now completely done again, re-welded, re-bushed, re-ball jointed, and all ready to go. So let's fit them on the car and see if they clear. So we've got both wishbones now fitted. They clear. That ring, tested it all out when it was before it was all bolted up. Well, when I bolted that one over there. So yeah, they clear it all on this side and that side. So they're all done. Ball joints all attached. Just got to make some spaces to go in here, so as like safety spaces. So if something does happen and these two bolts or one of these two bolts come loose, it can't just fly down this way. That's what I've done on the Z20 and it works well. Them bolts I doubt will come loose anyway. I've seen obviously BC ones, they're held with bloody cap-headed bolts, like 4 little cap-headed bolts, M6 or something. So yeah, I doubt these are going to go anywhere. Well, they haven't on the Z20 yet, touch wood. So yeah, we'll make some spaces up for them. But now, in the meantime, we've just got to fit the washer bottle back and then work out what kind of spaces we're going to use to space the wheels out. So I've just finished putting the top wishbones on with the camber adjusted all the way, and the wheel was like proper in the arch. So I thought, right, okay, we'll space it out a little bit then. Space it out a little bit, everything will be fine. I think I've had to space it out about 30 mil, which isn't exactly what I wanted. And also as well, I think the camber's a bit too extreme. So just look at this. So, not really sure. That is the camber we got, max camber. As you can see, it runs quite nicely with the top of the arch. So the idea is going to be that I'm going to drop it down when I'm done fixing the oil leak and stuff and see how extreme that camber actually is. With the fact that it is spaced out a little bit more as well now, it does miss the anti-roll bar when you turn, because that was a problem that I was having. It was the wheel was hitting the anti-roll bar when you turn full lock. So it now misses it. So we might just have to play around with the camber and spacing to get it dead right. Now, just as a safety measure on the wishbones, I made these. These are just little safety pins, basically. I'll show you how they work. But what you do, it's because you cannot see it. Bugger. Hang on a minute, let me get a light. Right, and because you can't see it, you've got obviously a gap in between the bolts and the back of the wishbone, right? So you see it right there, right? You see that gap right there. All right, now, worst case scenario is, I doubt they ever would, but these two bolts and nuts could come loose, and then the wheel will go flying backwards because your camber will all of a sudden adjust because everything's loose. Now, just to stop that from happening, you've got one of these. It's been slotted in both sides, as you can see, and then slotted at the top. You just slide it in there, and what that'll do is that'll act as like an emergency buffer. So just in case anything goes wrong, it can't slide backwards. So do that on all the arms. I've done them on the Z21 as well, and apart from rattling a bit, they work perfectly. So wishbones are now all bolted in properly. As you can see, they fit quite well with the wheels. Tilted them in just about enough. So yeah, let's get her down on the floor and see what she looks like now. Alright, so we are back down on the ground and we are looking good. Look at that. All that hard work paid off. I've still got airbags to come for this as well. Oh, she's looking very good, if I do say so myself. She's very dusty. I think I got that fitment quite right there. Especially when the airbags come. That comes down a lot more. It's going to be awesome. I really wish you could run without bonnets in the UK. Well, technically you can, you just got to try not to get caught. So maybe that might be an idea for shows. Pull up in a nearby services and see if someone will look after my bonnet. And that's the end of this episode of Iron Talons Engineering. So cheers for watching and seeing how I made them and how the car sits and stuff like that. It's actually getting quite good, the fact that it's nearly done. We will be moving shortly, so things will have to go in a new workshop and all that, so I just wanted to get it in one piece before, well, I had to go. So yeah, cheers for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, stay safe. See you guys.